I remember when I first came into the 12-step program, it was terrible. I was in terrible shape. I was financially bankrupt. I was emotionally bankrupt. I was physically bankrupt. I was mentally bankrupt. I was going to small claims court. I was going to divorce court. I was fighting to see my children. My family didn't want anything to do with me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't function without the use and abuse of alcohol. When somebody took alcohol from me, I went bonkers. I went crazy. That's how I discovered I was an alcoholic. It's not so much when I was drinking, it's when I wasn't drinking. I realized I was an alcoholic. But then they told me to go to a 12-step program, and I went to that 12-step program on a Sunday night, and some guy came up to me I didn't even know, says, if you're new to the program, you should go to step 1, 2, and 3. So I said, okay, I'll go to step 1, 2, and 3, no problem. I'm sitting in 1, 2, and 3 in the kitchen meeting, and guess what they start talking about? They start talking about step 3. Turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. I'm not going to get this one. There's no way. I was like an agnostic. I was a fence sitter. Everybody in that meeting are believers. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have survived my life. God gave me the power to come into. God saved me from the raft of alcoholism. That's what God did for me. That's other people talking, right? God has led me here. God saved my marriage. God saved my life, turning my will over. And I'm sitting there in the meeting. I'm not getting God. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's why my life is so screwed up. Because I'm not getting God and I'm not getting a higher power. So I must be a real loser. I thought by the step 3, you're supposed to have a higher power or an outside source of energy, belief in something outside of yourself to help you in recovery. I felt doomed, believe it or not. There's a lot of people out there nowadays who don't believe in God at all and don't believe in a higher power and still get sober. There's lots of secular groups. There's lots of people saying, I do not believe in the higher power. I do not believe in God the Father. And they go in the 12-step programs and they get sober. They're a bit of a pain in the ass because they're always sort of rebellious, in my opinion. But do you think you can get sober without a higher power? I think you can. I think it's a lot harder, but I do think you can. I had no choice, getting back to my little story, I had no choice but to stay in recovery. I had no choice because I was too nuts. I had nowhere to go. So I stayed. I used the group and I used my sponsor as my higher power. To be honest with you, that's what I did. I still, to this day, have a problem with the higher power. Mine's like the scale of justice. One day I'm good, one day I'm off. If somebody asks me if I believe, I say I have a problem with it. I don't know if there's a God up in the sky, pulling the strings like I'm some bloody puppet. My life is, laid out for me. There's a story up in heaven about my life. And when I die, I go to heaven. I don't know. I believe when I die, I just go to the ground and I stay. I do believe in a higher power. I believe there's a source of energy outside of us. If we tap into it, if I tap into it, my life is better. And I know working the 12 steps of recovery, having an outside energy and believing when you let go of things, there's an energy out there helping you out in a positive manner. It's easier. It might be fantasy. It's no different than all the other religions, right? It's no different than, the Virgin Mary having a baby without, having sex. No difference about that. Or, Scientology, the UFOs are going to come and pick them up and take them up into space. There's no difference in that. People for the turn, like when people were first plopped on the earth, they needed something to believe in outside of themselves. How do you deal with a resentment? You pray for the other person. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried praying for the other person? It actually works, believe it or not. My 2 favorite prayers are, God, you got this. And come on, God, throw me a bone. I need some help. Show me that you're there. And some reason, it helps me. It really does. And today, I'm celebrating 32 years of continuous sobriety at my home group tonight. Is that a miracle? You're damn right it's a miracle. You're damn right. And I just want to tell you that if you don't believe in a higher power, and you never believe in a higher power or a God, you can get sober. It's controversial right now because everybody's like against it. You know, the Catholic Church are all a bunch of pedophiles. People don't like religion at all. You know, it's man-made. It's man, standing over it, judging people, controlling people through religion, all that kind of nonsense. But you know something? If you find your own higher power and you find your own source of energy, it is a lot better. It's easier to get along with life with an outside power. And I choose to call that power God today. God today. And this I'm going to leave you with, okay? If somebody ever asks me about a higher power or God, I can explain it mentally right off the charts. I can convince myself that there's no higher power, there's no source of energy out there, there's no good in the world, it's all evil, it's all bullshit, it's all evil, it's out to get me. I can convince you of that. And I can convince myself of that. But there's one thing I cannot argue, is that when I pray a little bit, like God throw me a bone, you got this God, help me out, I feel better. So for me, a higher power or a connection to a spiritual being, a spirituality, is not about the way I think, it's about the way I feel. And when I feel better, I start thinking better. And that's how I sort of got it. That's how I sort of got it. Okay? Every day I don't believe, but most days I do. When I look outside, I look into the forest, look into the trees, I look at the sky, the stars, the clouds. Hey, who do you think made it? General Motors? Maybe God did make it. But even if there's not a God, my life is better believing that there is something out there helping me get along with myself and the world around me, okay? My name is Terry G. This is an alcohol-free life channel where we learn to live sober one day at a time. If you can take a second, please subscribe. If you can take another second, hit that like button, okay? Remember, sobriety is freedom. It really, really is. There's no I in team. Recovery is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. It's a team sport, okay? God bless. Ciao for now. I'll see you next week. And thanks for stopping by. See ya.